They called him the wickedest man in the world. Newspapers painted him as a monster. Some believed he could summon spirits. Others were convinced he had lost his mind completely. But the truth? It's far stranger than the myth. He was a man who claimed he spoke to demons, a man who went by names like the Beast, Brother Perdurabo, and to Megatherion. To some, he was a fearless prophet of personal freedom. To others, he was dangerous, immoral, even evil. Visionary or villain? Mystic or madman? It all depends on who's telling the story. But no matter the perspective, one thing is certain. He made sure the world would never forget him. This is the story of Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley was born on October 12, 1875, in the quiet English town of Lymington Spa. His father was a preacher in a strict fundamentalist Christian sect called the Plymouth Brethren, a group that took the Bible completely literally. Their worldview left no room for interpretation, especially when it came to obedience, morality, and social roles. It was a rigid environment for any child to grow up in. But for young Aleister, it would become the very thing he would spend his life rebelling against. When his father died of tongue cancer in 1886, the foundation of Crowley's world shifted. He was sent to a series of boarding schools, where he quickly developed a reputation as the odd one out. He preferred solitude over sports, books over bonding. That difference made him a target. He was bullied, not just by classmates, but sometimes by teachers too. The isolation and resentment began to simmer. As a teenager, he started pushing back against everything he had been taught. He questioned the Bible, pointed out contradictions, and openly defied the strict moral code he'd been raised under. He drank, he smoked, he visited prostitutes. His horrified mother, in a moment of biblical fury, began calling him the Beast, referencing the monster from the Book of Revelation. Instead of feeling ashamed, Crowley embraced it. If they wanted a beast, he would become one. In 1895, at just 19 years old, Crowley enrolled at Cambridge University to study English literature. He immersed himself in poetry, especially the romantic works of Byron and Shelley. He developed a passion for chess. He also experienced a brief but intense romantic relationship with a fellow student named Herbert Charles Pollitt. The attraction was mutual, passionate, and ultimately short-lived. Crowley's heart was already drifting somewhere else. He had discovered the occult. What started as a curiosity about different religious traditions soon turned darker. In dusty library corners, he pored over ancient mystical texts. Then came grimoires, manuals of magic, works like the Lesser Key of Solomon, filled with rituals, spells, and descriptions of spirits. Fascination turned into obsession. By the time he left Cambridge without completing his degree, Crowley had made a decision. He would dedicate his life to the study and practice of magic. Money wasn't a problem. His father's inheritance allowed him to live comfortably and travel freely. He became an accomplished mountaineer and gained recognition in climbing circles. But scaling mountains wasn't enough. He wanted hidden knowledge. In 1898, he was introduced to the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, a secretive society devoted to esoteric teachings, Kabbalah, and ceremonial magic. Even Arthur Conan Doyle moved in those circles. Crowley took on the magical name Brother Perdurabo and quickly impressed other members with his encyclopedic knowledge of occult literature. But brilliance came with baggage. His heavy drug use and open bisexuality caused tension. Fellow members described him as having an unappeasable desire to control people and a savage tendency to quarrel with anyone who disagreed. Eventually, internal disputes fractured the order, and Crowley walked away. He went east: Japan, China, Sri Lanka, India. He studied Taoism and Buddhism. He practiced yoga. He experimented heavily with hashish, opium, and hallucinogens. For Crowley, spiritual growth and altered consciousness went hand in hand. Boundaries, cultural, moral, physical, were meant to be broken. Then, in 1902, in Paris, he met Rose Edith Kelly. She was already engaged to someone else. That didn't stop them. They began an affair and married soon after. For their honeymoon, they chose Egypt. And this is where things take a dramatic turn. Inside their hotel suite, Crowley built a shrine and began performing rituals invoking Egyptian deities. According to his later account, Rose suddenly entered a trance-like state, repeating the phrase, "They are waiting for you." She led him to a museum exhibit, an ancient stele. The display number? 666. Soon after, Crowley claimed he heard a voice. It called itself Aiwass. It said it was an angel. For 3 days, the voice dictated a message while Crowley wrote. The result was a book titled The Book of the Law. Its central message: humanity was entering a new era, the Aeon of Horus. Christianity would fall away. Individuals would take control of their own destiny. And the guiding principle was simple: do what thou wilt. Every man and woman is a star. Restriction itself was sin. In other words, follow your true will. No apologies. Crowley believed he was the prophet of this new age. And when he returned to London, he founded a religion to match the revelation. He called it Thelema. And this was only the beginning. Thelema wasn't just a belief system. It was a declaration of independence. Built around the teachings of the Book of the Law, it blended Western occultism, Jewish Kabbalah, Theravada Buddhism, and yoga into something entirely new. At its core was radical freedom, true will above all else. Crowley didn't just preach it, he lived it. In 1907, he founded a secret magical order known as the AA, or Argentium Astrum, Silver Star in Latin. It attracted followers quickly. He also began publishing a periodical called The Equinox to spread his ideas. Rumors circulated that Aiwass continued to guide him, instructing him to write additional holy texts. Outwardly, it looked like success. But underneath, cracks were forming. Crowley's lifestyle was expensive: travel, drugs, lovers. His marriage to Rose deteriorated. Ironically, though he championed indulgence, he grew frustrated with her alcoholism. In 1909, he divorced her on grounds of adultery. Rose's health declined further, and she was institutionalized in 1911. Meanwhile, Crowley's inheritance had run dry. His asthma treatment led to a heroin prescription. That prescription turned into a crippling addiction. During World War I, he was in New York, scraping by as a writer. He even briefly acted as a double agent for British intelligence. But his attempts to spread Thelema in America fell flat. So in 1920, he tried something bold. He rented a small house in Sicily and established the Abbey of Thelema. It was meant to be a spiritual utopia, a place free from the constraints of modern society. Aside from sun rituals and a weekly Gnostic Mass, members were largely free to pursue their own paths. But freedom without structure can spiral. The abbey became filthy. Litter and waste accumulated. Stray dogs roamed the halls. Then tragedy struck. One follower died under mysterious circumstances. Newspapers sensationalized the event, speculating about blood rituals. Headlines crowned him the wickedest man in the world. Some said he worshipped Satan. Others claimed he was Satan. The myth of Mr. Crowley had officially taken on a life of its own. The abbey collapsed. Followers drifted away. Crowley returned to England, disgraced and nearly broke. In 1929, he married Maria Teresa Sanchez, though fidelity was never his strength. He settled in Hastings, writing books and offering private magical instruction. His final major work, The Book of Thoth, a tarot deck and accompanying text, remains influential today. In 1947, Crowley died peacefully in his sleep from chronic bronchitis at the age of 72. But death didn't silence him. By 1915, Vanity Fair had already noted that a legend had grown around his name, that he had become a myth. Crowley himself once predicted that 1,000 years from now, the world would be basking in Crowleyanity. That future hasn't arrived, at least not yet. Still, his influence is undeniable. Modern pagan movements like Wicca saw growth in the 20th century, drawing from ideas Crowley helped popularize. His books remain foundational texts for those exploring magic and occult philosophy. And then there's music. His face appears on the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album cover. His words found their way into lyrics by David Bowie, Ozzy Osbourne, Iron Maiden. Led Zeppelin's Jimmy Page even purchased Crowley's former Scottish manor, Boleskine House, only to later claim it was haunted. He became an icon for counterculture, a symbol of rebellion. But here's the uncomfortable question. Are we romanticizing him? Biographers describe a man capable of cruelty, someone who alienated those closest to him. His claims of speaking to spirits, were they mystical experiences? Or symptoms of untreated addiction and possible mental illness? Today, we might throw around words like narcissism, sociopathy, dissociation, even drug-induced psychosis, genius, fraud, cult leader, free thinker, madman. Maybe he was some of those things. Maybe none. What makes Aleister Crowley fascinating isn't whether he truly spoke to demons. It's that he forced society to confront its boundaries, religious, moral, psychological. He challenged the idea that authority should dictate belief. He lived without apology, for better or worse. And whether you see him as a prophet of personal freedom or a cautionary tale about excess, he succeeded in one undeniable way. And that's the story of Aleister Crowley, a man who lived without limits, challenged every boundary, and left behind a legacy that still sparks debate to this day. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed diving into this story with me. If you did, don't forget to like the video, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more content just like this. Your support truly means a lot and helps the channel grow. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care.